Hello, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Career IQ. I'm your host, Daryl Jackson of Patrice and Associates. Today, my co-host, Chef Gary Kinsey, and I will talk about job interviews, but more about the importance of why you should interview the interviewee. Yeah, you heard right. You will be interviewing the interviewer. And towards the end of this video, you want to make sure you kind of stay tuned, because Chef is also going to share a recipe idea with you as well. Okay, so hopefully you enjoy this video, and let's get into it. Thank you. Hey, thank you for tuning in. I'm Daryl Jackson.
And I'm Chef Gary Kinsey.
And we're with Career IQ. We're going to be helping you boost your IQ for your career. And the goal is today we're going to be talking about the importance of interviewing the interviewee. that's from Chef Gary Kinsey. I think is a great point. Anything else you want to talk about on that, Chef?
I just think that it's important to interview the interviewee for so many reasons. You're like we just spoke about. You're signing up and about to commit to a company, restaurant, hotel, wherever it is that you fit in the categories of culinary. You're going to commit, and you don't know anything about the commitment except for what they told you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think you're absolutely right. When it comes to interviewing the interviewer, a lot of times it also shows that you've done your homework on the company, that you're really interested, and you're taking the job seriously. And it's not always should be one-sided when it comes to your career. Your career has to do with it's a give and take. While they are interviewing you to see if you're a great fit, you also should be interviewing them to see if they're a great fit for you in terms of your career, work-life balance, a number of different things like that. I think it's very important that you need to keep those things in perspective. So I think you're absolutely right with that. I also believe that when you're sitting down to ask those questions, you should already have a list of questions you already want to ask. What do you think, Chef?
Absolutely. I think you nailed it when you said make sure it's a perfect fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
The culinary industry can become stressful as it is. And you want to make sure that it's a great fit for your mindset. You nailed it with that, and have a list of questions that will, either intrigue or, deter you from taking the position. And be honest about it.
Any particular question, like an example? You have an example that you would ask?
How long have they been in their position? If it's been a very short time, then you need to find out what happened to the last person in that position. The position you're about to take, how long was the person before you in their position? Were they promoted? Were they terminated? Did they quit? And how many people before them in a 12-month period have been in the position that you're going to take? Because you don't want to be 13, you don't want to be number 7.
Well, I mean, that's a great point too, because a lot of times you don't know. They're taking our time to try to learn you because of your resume. They know your tenure, but you don't know the tenure of the people who came before them. And you raise a great point, because let's say, for instance, you are number 3 within 12 months, right? You're the third person to be hired for that particular position within 12 months. The first thing that'll happen is a red flag. You're wondering, like, why did everybody leave, right? So you're wondering, is it a great environment,
And I'm sorry, because not so much that they left. Did you only need me for seasonal work? And, did they? So you need to find out, like, if people are quitting, it's a bad work environment. If they're basically getting laid off or no longer needed, it's a seasonal type thing that you don't want to sign up into. You need to guarantee that you have your rent, your bills, and all those things paid for. And that's basically interviewing the interviewee for me, to make sure that you, like you said, a good fit. And that goes along with it. I don't want to be short term and you only need me short term, and some jobs, how it works, you don't get past 90 days. They don't really
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. I think I was looking at it from perspective, whereas, understanding the environment, because you can do so much research online. There's LinkedIn to look up the person that you're interviewing with. There's a lot of different things to kind of understand if they have endorsements. You have to do your research and come in prepared to interview that person. I it's funny you say that. I've been in places where I had to interview, or I had my questions on why I would want to work for them, and I would ask the person, why would someone want to work for you?
Right. Absolutely.
And they got to sell me on the job. It can't be just me selling myself to for the job, but they got to also sell themselves on why it's a great place to work. You know.
Right. And a lot of people are sold on the paycheck. You know what I
So
mean? You got to be sold on um, the. So I could say this, that a company basically is looking for a candidate that fits the value of their program. You know what I mean? Good companies. These are good companies. That's why they use people like you to search for candidates, or they would just interview them themselves. That's why they use people like you, Patricia and Associates, to recruit people that you've done the homework on, you've checked their resume, you think that they're a good fit, and that's why you sent them to them, and they have little work to do to make sure that someone fits the value of their program. Now, um, if you don't fit the value of someone's program and you're interviewing them, as they're talking to you, you're going to find out that you don't fit. Automatically, you don't fit. You know what I mean? So you don't just take a job because it's a job. Get in where you fit
mm-hmm.
in, and things will work. You'll look forward to waking up in the morning. But don't get into a place where you think you got to learn, because in this industry, there's no time to teach.
True, true, and I think a lot of people are when they look at their resumes, they think because they have so much experience. I think the downfall for a lot of people nowadays is they think it's okay to jump from job to job from 1 year. I only been at this place for 6 months. I've been at this place for 6 months. I've been at this other place for 6 months. And great opportunities end up passing them by because no one wants to work with a person who's going to be a flight risk. And I think a lot of times people think that, well, the job was too hard. Well, if you're becoming a leader, a lot of times people will hire people who have been battle tested, meaning they can walk into an environment that's tough, help improvement, make improvements in that environment, create programs to help remove any issues and make it a better work environment for everybody. And so, if you're battle tested and you're able to stay and not so quick to run from a challenge, that makes you stand out because you can also put that information on the resume as your experience, as a badge of what you've done in the past. So you have to be very careful on the idea of just leaving companies. And I agree with you wholeheartedly when it comes to interviewing that person. Me, I would be asking the same thing you just said is, you know, how long do you need me? How long is the person? Why did they leave? And hopefully they would give you a honest response.
I'm trying to see if I can hear you, Jerry. I lost my value. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I hear you fine. I hear you. Yeah, I saw you took off your earbuds. So we're talking about
Oh
some of
man.
the main reasons why we end up
Here we go. I'm sorry, Daryl. I couldn't hear you. My earpods went out,
okay.
and
That's okay. You hear me okay now?
I hear perfect.
So the goal is definitely interview the interviewee, but have your list of questions and be ready to drill them a little bit. Um, I think your point about asking them how did they get to their position is ideal too.
Right. Shows promotion is possible. It shows growth in the company. Absolutely. Daryl, and another thing that's important is with resumes. You're right. That switching job to job is a flight risk. It shows a lot about a person's character. As you know, you helped me with my resume. And before that time, you couldn't understand it. I have been switched from job to job, but I was never a flight risk because I did it all for one company. Yep. So I was with Johnson & Johnson, and I just switched from company to company that Johnson & Johnson owned. My paychecks didn't change. My benefits didn't change. The human resources didn't change. I was with Compass Group, Flick. They're inside of these buildings. And I'm just jumping. I'm going back to Rutgers University, going back to the Pentagon. I've been with the same company for many years, and I'm still with the same company. I skipped a little bit outside, but I went right back within, a couple of months.
Yep. And I think also you have people nowadays, what's happening too is people are working what they call is task force. And they may work for, it's okay if you work in task force for a particular company, because a lot of companies have their own task force. Like Marriott, for once, they do a lot of task force and so they'll send one of their employees, one of their leaders to another property, maybe a property that they just acquired, maybe a property that needs some help, or whatever the case may be, but they're either helping that property transition to the new Marriott way, right? And so there are other companies that do task force work just for maybe temporary to full-time positions. So they'll send people to these different hotels, whether PSG or whatever the company may be. They'll send them to different hotels that they're affiliated with just to help them fill that void and gap. And potentially they can either work full-time or fill out for a full-time position. But most of the time, a lot of people are loving the idea of working in possibly a different location, different part of the country, but still work for that one company. But it's task force work, which is okay, but long as you work for the same company like you did. So I agree with that big time.
And you nailed it. At the time when to be in DC, then to be in Florida, working in buildings that you normally wouldn't even be allowed in, and it's global companies, so you can switch wherever you want.
Yeah.
At any time transfer. So it's great for you, it's great for your family, it's great for change. And I tell young people too, when you're going into companies like, let's say, Comcast, or big companies like Compass, or Flick, you're going to learn everything. And what you also going to get the benefit out that is a commission for your time, the benefits for your time, timeshares, vacations. When you go on vacation, you have a hotel that's cheap. You got to look through your benefits besides just 401k plans, direct deposit, and health. You throw everything away. They will compensate you if you are with their company for a while. They'll make sure that you're able to relax. But people just throw that stuff away. So they say, hey, whatever. At least we know we offered it to them. They pray that you throw it away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And see benefits that involved with big companies like that. You might be able to get discounts on flights, your cell phone bill, everything.
Yep, that's very true.
Gotta ask questions.
Yep, and especially when it comes to traveling, you get those flight miles that can kind of pile up too. So, but there are some benefits to it. I agree. I think it was a great point. I think it helped raise some questions for everybody across the multitude of spectrums in terms of careers. You have to interview the interviewee. Don't just let it be one-sided. Don't let it just be them interviewing you and you're not asking them hard questions to answer. And don't be afraid to write those questions down, because a lot of times they'll say, "I'll get back to you," and make sure you hold them accountable by getting back to you as well. Because sometimes they may not have answers to your questions, and that's okay too. But it does show that you are into it, the process of being interviewed, and you're one to be taken seriously about the process, and because you're basically want them to articulate what you will be doing in that hotel or in that business or whatever that may be, because it doesn't mean it's just hotel. It can be any industry, any industry.
Right. And you're giving them 90 days to see if they stick up to their end of the bargain as well.
Ooh, so that's big.
If I can say this, and I hope you don't mind saying, when you first contacted me again after we haven't spoken in a while, and immediately you offered me a position somewhere with 6 figures. And I was like, nah. I said, no. And he said, what are you making now? I said, way under that. But me interviewing the interviewee at Comcast and Flick, they are who they say they are. Right. I'm on 8, almost 9 months, and I have no problem with my management. I'm gonna tell you, just last week, I had a manager, my chef in catering. He was this close in my face to tell me what I did wrong. And I just joined his team in his special events. And he knows that I respect him. Well, yes, chef, no chef, heard chef is a sign of respect, first of all. But you got to be around chefs that respect that and doesn't take it for granted. And what he told me was exactly what I did. If I was on a ship with a general, I would have been punished. Period. It's the same way. I took a knife from something else. I don't know if it was cucumber or whatever, and I laid it on its side. I walked away. I came back, put my gloves on, and took it directly through an expensive cheese. He didn't say anything. It's not until 5 minutes later when he caught me by myself, and that was it. There was only one other person in the kitchen, and he was in my face like, yo, if you ever take a knife and go through something and then go through the cheese, it will not fly over here. And I said, yes, chef, heard chef. Won't happen again, chef. He walked away. When I saw him the next morning, he was the same chef he was when he'd always been, smiling, greeting you. You know what I mean? And me just acknowledging what I did. Okay, chef. Yes, chef, you're right. It won't happen again. It quickly solved the problem. If you start making up excuses, he's going to feel like you're going to make up excuses all the time. Take ownership for what you do, because it's the people, the client, that you're putting their lives in jeopardy because of your mistakes. And you got a boss who cares about it. Listen, man, that's why you're interviewing. And that's why I had to decline. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy with the chefs I'm under. I'm happy with the staff I work around. It's a well-grounded, organized place to work. And the people that can't handle it did not interview the interviewee.
Yeah. And it's all about peace of mind.
Right here. I had to pass up 6 figures, and I did it because the peace of mind.
Yeah, that's right. You're absolutely right. Well, that's a great point. I think it's a great segue, because now I want to move into the culinary corner with my friend Chef Gary Kinsey. And there's a dish that he was talking about that I want him to kind of speak about today before we close out. Chef, can you elaborate on this dish?
In fact, I can show you. So I took the liberty of making a fried grit this afternoon, knowing that I would be coming on the podcast today. We had a conversation about it. However, the video that we have or photos has it completely different with hollandaise, and there's roasted vegetable, heirloom tomatoes with asparagus with the hollandaise. Inside this one, I have cheddar cheese. You can make your grits any way you want, with vegetable, with bacon, with pork, with whatever you want to add in the inside, any cheese you want. And the grit, and this is cold, but the grit is going to stay the way it would. You see that? The way it would when you cook it. When you cook it and eat it just as grits with no frying, it's going to stay the same way it is. The cheese is in the inside.
You want me to share the video? You want me to share the video?
Yes, please share the video.
Okay.
I know this is cold, but I'm going to eat it.
Can you see that?
I can see it.
Okay, you can talk about it.
So right now, I'm just simply making grits and getting them nice and creamy. It's important that you add a little buttermilk and heavy cream to get them creamy. You can hold this product for 3 days under refrigeration once you make them. And right now, I'm cutting out the sizes I want. I've put them in a refrigerator. I've let them chill maybe 2 hours to get a nice firm chill. And you'll be able to pick up the cylinder of it. And you want to go flour, egg, and then breadcrumb. I wouldn't go heavy on the salt when it comes to seasoning the breadcrumb and the egg, because your grit should be in salted water, and then when you put the cheese in, mix any seasoning you want in the grit. The outside, just regular spice. You got a hollandaise sauce under that. I use maple bacon, and then you have roasted, like I said, heirloom tomatoes with the asparagus tips, and then I just sprinkled some cayenne pepper around the sides of the rim. That way, when you cut into the grits and you slide it through the hollandaise and you slide it through the sauce, you get an experience while you're eating it.
Right,
so that's why I put things the way I put on the plate.
Well, that looks good, my friend. And I'm going to make sure I add a link to that particular video. It is on TikTok that we want to share with everyone. Chef has a lot of great ideas. We're going to try to share something every time we do a video, because I'm blown away by many of them. So hopefully everyone gets get a chance to try them, and if you want to know more about the recipe, what he did, you can also reach out to him directly. Anything else you want to share, Chef?
Yeah, it's addictive. I mean, I'm sorry I'm sitting here eating it, but it's like Ruffles. You just can't eat one, and that might be the problem.
Well,
it's really good.
Well, I think this was a great episode. Thank you, Chef, for suggesting about interviewing the interviewee. If you want to know more about Chef, please check the description out. I'm Daryl Jackson.
And I'm Chef Gary Kinsey.
And thank you guys for tuning in with us at Career IQ. And we hope to see you in the next video. Thank you, and see you later.
See you later. Thank you.
Hey, before you go, I need your help in growing this channel. If you enjoyed the video today and what you heard the contents of, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And also comment on some of the topics you'd like to hear in the future. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a great one. Bye-bye.